What's going on, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital, coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is November 29th, 2021. Please go ahead, click the like button on this video. Also subscribe to my channel, that way you don't miss any more of my videos. Today we're going to talk about the price action in the indices. Before we do that, quick risk disclaimer: nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan, your own risk parameters. Last but certainly not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. All right, so let's jump into today's action. So box scores for today. We had the S&P 500 finishing up 1.23%. We had the Nasdaq QQQ finishing up 2.17%, our big winner for the day. We had the IWM small caps actually finishing down 0.06%. And we had the Dow Jones finishing up 0.62%. So on Friday, we had that really low, low volume, typical holiday. We don't get much trading volume. It's literally just like the most boring day ever. And the market got absolutely sparked on Friday. So look what happened here. Volatility gave back a ton. Basically, we had, what appears to be a bit of an overreaction to the Omicron news. The Omicron, it's kind of crazy. It was like, oh my gosh, Omicron. And the market just fell apart. But it really seems like the Omicron, the more that we find out about it, the more it's just like a run-of-the-mill COVID variant. So I don't know if it's like some players just had a ton of money betting on a short setup in the market, and it was really just a trigger. From my understanding, it was really more so just a trigger. Maybe there were some other reasons why players wanted to take risk off the table. Who knows? But nonetheless, we had volatility coming in significantly today. Breadth overall finished the day positive, although it did slip throughout the session quite a bit, especially in the small caps. The small caps opened up with about 90% advancers, and throughout the day, the small caps really sold off to only 33% advancers. So still a pretty ambiguous tape, even though you can see here, bright green on a lot of these different areas of the market. So we had, mega cap tech was really shining today. You can see Apple up, well over 2%. Google as well. These semiconductors still very strong. Nvidia up close to 6%. Tesla up 5%. Really nice action. And the financials were a little bit weaker. Healthcare was a little bit weaker. Looks like we pretty much got a reopening trade today, where all the stocks that should do poorly under the economy shuttering, they actually did pretty well today. Let's take a look at our sectors. Semiconductors were our top group, up 3.84%. We also have these blockchain names up 2.82%. That's where most of my exposure is, so that works out pretty well. And let's take a look at what else did very well. We had consumer discretionary. It continues to do well, up 1.55%. And of course, as technology, XLK up 2.5%. Some of the laggards, we had China stocks down 1.34%. We had this ARKG Nomics Fund also down 1.44%. Style factors, we had the growth style factor up 1.89%. We had high beta up 2.03%. Momentum up 1.53%. This is definitely a risk on configuration. All right, let's take a look at the actual indices. Let's take a look at what we find. This was still a pretty ambiguous day for this reason. So S&P 500, if you're living in a vacuum, you might be like, oh my gosh, market was up 1.31%. That's awesome. When you take a look in the context of Friday's candle, this is just an inside day. And the other thing that's noteworthy is, we failed at the 20-day moving average. So the 20-day moving average, it's like the biggest line in the sand for the S&P 500. In terms of risk on or risk off, typically whenever we start trading around this level, it's never just open and shut. All right, the market was below the 20-day and now we're trading above it, or vice versa. Typically there's a lot of jostling around the 20-day. So for instance, we tagged the 20-day, undercut it on the 23rd, undercut it again on the 24th, and then, the 26th after Thanksgiving, that was when the dam broke and we, flooded underneath it. Now as we're trying to work our way back up, now we tagged it for the first time today, but we did fail at that level. Let's look at the hourly chart, and you can see, this hourly chart, we made it back into this weekly value area. And that's definitely a good thing. We made it inside value right into the close of business. We were trading right underneath this value area low. Then after the bell rang, we were able to push back inside of it. So of course, just closing at this point of max ambiguity, where it's like, okay, are we going to close above the 20-day, below it, above the weekly value area low, or below it? So as of right now, hey, we have established ourselves inside of value. This bullish 80% rule did trigger. So you can see that it was over here earlier. I'm pretty sure when the market opens, it'll come back. But basically, if you can establish yourself inside of value and you can maintain trading inside of it, then there's a higher likelihood that you test the other side of value. And so that would be a move up to about 47.20. I think there's a lot of investors that would be very surprised if we end up getting that move into year end, just because now we're seeing a lot more volatility. Check out the VIX. So the VIX had this wild move up over 50% in a single day on Friday. And now today, a really nice action, to the downside on the VIX. We broke below the low of the day from Friday, which is good. It's not like we closed on the lows, but yeah, it's always good to see a red candle like this. What's interesting though, is that the VIX is still at a 23 handle. So it can get very confusing. You can get offsides pretty quickly where you go, oh my gosh, such a great day in the market today. I'm going all in. But the VIX is still at a 23. So it still means, hey, we could just see a reversal of this move today. So basically the market is still like a coiled spring. So we could see another, plus 1% move tomorrow in the market. We could see, a negative 1% move in the market as well. Let's take a look here at our Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is certainly the leader. Let's check it out. Nasdaq looks like the best trend in the market in terms of these headline indices. Nasdaq actually reclaimed the 20 and 50-day simple moving averages, or this 20 and 10-day EMA, excuse me. So yeah, the Nasdaq certainly looks really strong. It's very interesting. We actually got a headline out today that the CEO of Microsoft sold 50% of his shares. I don't think anyone knows why, but you can see Microsoft, didn't close at the high end of its range today. And that definitely is kind of spooky, if you're a Microsoft investor, because now we've had Jeff Bezos did some selling, Elon Musk did some selling, now Satya Nadella also did some selling from Microsoft. Cryptocurrencies performed very well today also. We had Bitcoin up 1.92%, and we had Ethereum. Take a look at Ethereum. This is awesome. So Ethereum, the price action just looks a lot better than it does in Bitcoin. Ethereum's actually clearing out of this 20-day simple moving average, and it's moving right up to the top end of this range. So Ethereum's actually still very close to prior highs. It really had a very shallow correction compared to Bitcoin, which looks a little bit sloppier, not gonna lie. Yeah, good day in the crypto markets today, and we had some of these crypto names. We had Bitfarms, which is my biggest options trade. This one finished up the day 10%, really nice action. And we closed just a smidge above this downward trend line, which is a good thing as well. So you'll have to see if Bitfarms continues to move. HUD 8, also pretty good showing here. You can see we also closed above this downward trend line. And for HUD 8, we closed above this weekly value area. So that's definitely a good sign here. Let's take a look. What else do we got for you? So we have those style factors, seasonality. So let's just talk about this real quick. Seasonality, we were supposed to have like this awesome Santa Claus rally into the end of November, but we didn't exactly get that. We just got a huge volatility spike. So I think the real question most market participants have is, is the Santa Claus rally ever going to come? Is the end of year sequence, is it intact, or are we just going to see a bunch of selling? I think it's still to be determined. We have so many things that are in flux, like the Fed stimulus, the Fed taper, the rate hikes. For now, it's Omicron. Like on Friday, it was like, oh my gosh, Omicron is here. And today was more like, okay, Omicron's not that bad. But the market's going to move on to some other narrative. But yeah, you can see seasonality is still very strong into year end. Now let's take a look here. We will take a look at some of my trades for the day. Today, I just made sure to not do that much trading, to be perfectly honest. Market still is in a pretty ambiguous position. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to observe for most of the day. I have some positions that are already on the books. I'm going to let those work. So one position that I did take, I got long some Twitter March 18th, 2022 50 strike calls. And Twitter, this was one of the names from our Pristine Capital weekend watch list. This one did not really have the strength that I expected. For Twitter, one of the things everyone cites that's long the stock is everyone hates Jack Dorsey because he's been the CEO of two companies simultaneously, Square and Twitter. And it was just announced earlier that Jack Dorsey would be stepping away from the company as CEO, no longer with Twitter. I believe he's still going to be with the board for a little bit. And now he's going to be focusing more on Square and more on cryptocurrency. So I got along these calls thinking, hey, this is a nice lotto ticket. I do think there's a chance that Twitter, if this new CEO can get some positive, vibes flowing, maybe Twitter gets in advance. But Twitter, the news was definitely sold. So we were up at this 20-day moving average, and we sold all the way down and flipped negative. You can see, look at how much volume was coming in. So I'd like to think, hey, this is like the final washout of these weak hands. But one thing I will note is that, this trade, it goes out to March, so it's not really that big of a deal. But especially as you get into the end of the year, if you're in anything that's in any sort of a downtrend at year end, I feel like the wind is even more so at your back, because at year end, that is when everyone's like cleaning up their book. They want to sell things for tax losses. Nobody wants to go into the end of the year holding things that were losers. They don't want to look bad. So even if you get like a good headline, if it's in a losing stock towards year end, you can get some selling. So we'll have to see what happens with Twitter tomorrow. If it doesn't really do what I'm looking for it to do, then I'll just cut it. I have no problem doing that. In this market environment, it's all about which names that you're in, which groups that you're in. If you're not in the right stocks, for me, it's like, just cut them. No big deal. And then the other trade that I did, just to manage some of my risk, I closed out my Unity common shares for 170.05. I paid 179.47. Pretty small position for me. And I just said want to play it safe given the ambiguous market. So Unity, for whatever reason, I think it's a really good company. But Unity, while a lot of these software stocks and technology stocks were doing very well, Unity sold off. And you can see we closed below that 20-day moving average. So yeah, I just want to be prudent in more of like a dicey market. Hey, if something breaks a technical level, just take the stop. Don't be stubborn or anything like that. But there were some nice movers today. So one that looks really good, we have this Matterport. This metaverse company, this one was up 21.2%. We had Zim with a pretty nice showing today as well, up 8.37%. So hey, if the market continues to act well into tomorrow, S&P 500 gets above that 20-day simple moving average, there are some good-looking long candidates. Now let's take a look at Tesla. Yeah, even Tesla is starting to shape up. And yeah, could this thing just like blast off into your end? Certainly could. We'll have to see what happens. Let's take a quick look at our options order flow here. And we'll take a look at our tradescape. Let's see, options races. Let's see how much flow came in for Tesla today. The flow machine. Tesla, let's see. Okay, only 2.6 billion. That's not really all that much for Tesla. We had Amazon flow, Moderna, Apple, pretty much the usual suspects here. Let's check it out. Moderna seeing a bunch of call flow because, Moderna might make some more money off of new vaccines for the Omicron variant. Closed up 11.8%. We have Nvidia continuing to see call flow this December call flow at the 330 strike. Pretty much a lot of December 3rd stuff, so pretty short term. This here is for January, the 300 strike, and Nvidia. This stock, just continues to act well. The semis group is very strong into year end, as is AMD. So yeah, both breaking out. AMD closing at a new all-time high. And what else do we have? Boeing. Some activity, mixed bag for Boeing. Yeah, Boeing doesn't look that good. Let's see, AMD, of course, a ton of call flow. Let's see if there's anything more like unusual. Twitter's a mixed bag. A lot of these 50 strikes coming in. So I'll have to see. That was day one reaction. Maybe some of these guys were like, you know what, that's it. I'm done. I've been holding Twitter for 8 years. So we'll see. And then what do we got? Oh, we have Roblox. Roblox, a lot of call activity coming in. A lot of December 3rd flow. Coming in for the 125 strike, 120 strike. Roblox also had a good day today, finishing up 5.47%. And this one, it's still extended from that 20-day moving average, but hey, it just continues to grind higher, which is awesome. Let's take a look at one more. McDonald's. Everyone coming in hot for McDonald's. The 210 strikes for January. Yeah, more January. Pretty much all January flow here. Let's see what McDonald's did. Is McDonald's entering the metaverse? No, I'm kidding. Let me see. McDonald's, yeah, finished up 0.12%. That about does it for today's market recap video. We're going to have to see what happens tomorrow if we can actually establish ourselves above that 20-day simple moving average in the S&P 500. Hope you all have an awesome night, and I will see you all tomorrow.